This is Greg Troutwine with Maritime Reporter TV, and we're very pleased to be joined today by Allard Castelein, the CEO of the Port of Rotterdam, to discuss a broad range of port and logistics-related issues from Europe's largest port. To start, can you give a by-the-numbers look at the Port of Rotterdam today, including, of course, the impact of the geopolitical uncertainty led by the war in Ukraine and the global logistical snarls that continue?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's my pleasure, Greg. Port of Rotterdam is Europe's first and foremost port, by far the largest, one of the leading ports in the world, I would argue. And that we are indeed not only by sheer volume, easily 460, 70 million tons per annum of throughput, but also by market share, high 30s, near to 40s percent in Europe. But more importantly, I suppose, we reflect upon our purpose, on the impact we make, and that impact we measure by the extent to which we create an investment climate for businesses to flourish, to ensure there's prosperity, well-being, job employment, value creation, and those latter two elements. Some 565,000 jobs are being created by the businesses associated to the port. Some 6.2% of the gross national product, 63 billion euros, through the trade volumes that we generate and facilitate. So all in all, for this country and for Northwest Europe, of utmost importance. Now, will we remain to be so in future? Clearly, that's our aspirational goal, but no surprises if I confirm that the current geopolitical, energy, climate, inflation, potentially recession issues are top of mind and do create a quite uncertain situation and state of affairs. Year to date, impact has been limited. That is, that since the outbreak of the war, we have seen a shift in the various volumes, but if you add all the pluses and deduct all the minuses, the half-year results were about the same as last year's, but that has a clear variation and different volume buildups than we saw prior to the war. We've not seen the very last of it either. That's clear and obvious to each and every one of us. But the increasing level of sanctions, recognizing that we are a very important energy port, will of course find its impact at and in the port, be it sources, I mean coal, oil products, potentially gas, LNG. Each and every one of them used to have a different, an important Russia dimension. Some 20 to 30% of the energy volumes were originated in Russia. Now that is coming to a full stop over time, with the exception of LNG, and some of the volumes will be substituted from other sources. But altogether, that 62 million tons of trade volume with Russia, we will see and experience a decline, if not only for the fact that we, of course, will not have any containerized volumes. There's no trade volume with Russia anymore. And that's some 8% of our total container volumes had a Russian destination or origin. So all in all, hard work to ensure the value chain is robust, of high quality, of high service level to our customers, but a lot of variations we are experiencing.
So having taken your post as CEO of the port in 2014, obviously from your preamble, it's a vast understatement to say that the port and the world of shipping are very different places in 2022. So as you come to the end of your tenure a year from now, can you discuss how the Port of Rotterdam is most the same from when you took the helm and how it is most different?
I suppose the element of the same is clearly, if you look out of the window, it still is a port. We still have the vessels coming in. We still have the industries that have a presence, and the activities and the terminal facilities that deliver quality service to Northwest Europe. That bit is the same, I suppose, as an ecosystem. It has changed to the extent that very early on of my tenure, all the way back to 2014, I would argue, we recognized that there would likely to be two major disruptions we would be faced with, and those disruptions were premised on digitization and energy transition and the implications thereof. And right around the Paris Climate Agreement, we had already identified that we would embrace those disruptions as opportunities rather than as threats. So since we've worked very, very hard and diligently to identify the opportunities associated to the digitization of the logistics value chain and the opportunities associated to the energy transition. Now that has had several effects. One side of the coin is that as a company, we have changed dramatically to a prior position of a custodian of the facilities and the premises and the port. And we've become a very active and proactive business developer, entrepreneur, investor, co-creator of the various solutions in energy transition. And the same has materialized in the digital domain. We've embraced and embarked upon several avenues and initiatives to digitize the logistics value chain and to create a digital twin of this port and truly become a very smart port, become the smartest port there is, where we have an IoT premise and base, and we have a continuous drive towards optimization, cutting out waste, and not only cutting out waste in time and money and energy, but also cut out waste from an emission profile perspective. So various initiatives, deployment of activities, different people that we have welcomed in the company, different investment profile, is now part and parcel of our day-to-day activity. Again, then coming full circle, and we still invest in the traditional hardware, in the quay walls, in the dredging, in the boulders, and in the network, and that investment profile is still at around 250 to 300 million euros per annum. So almost under the hood, it's different, but the outlook is familiar.
You've already discussed some of the technologies, but can you give a broad overview of the investments that have been made in the previous few years, and offer some specific on the impact that you have seen on efficiency, with insights, importantly, on where and how the Port of Rotterdam is investing today in the area of automation?
Yeah, a straightforward and obvious question where the answer will have a lot of components almost, right? We've invested in the last couple of years probably well over 300 million euros in robotics and automation and digitization. And that is in very many domains. That is in the harbor masters domain, that is in the port call optimization domain, that is in facilities like providing planning systems with a kind of Google Maps principles, route scanner we call it, where we will enable forwarders to plan their journeys from point A to B anywhere on this planet, and to anywhere as well, not only via Rotterdam, because I do believe in an open and transparent platform. And by showing the various alternatives, we do believe that Rotterdam will come out on top as a preferred hub. But so we, as I said, we invest in the hardware, we invest in the smart application, but also the entire port call optimization. So this process of, and your audience is an expert audience, right? But the entire process of a ship sailing in splendid isolation from one port to another, just to subsequently be confronted with having to wait for several hours or days, burning not necessary fuel and thus emission profile, creating an emission profile by order, and subsequently ordering a pilot and a boatsman and having to connect to the terminal, load, unload, have bunker barges and water take in and papers exchanged and maybe crew changes and all that stuff. We sincerely believe that by creating a platform, open access for all service providers to interact, you can cut the port call period in time significantly by possibly 20 to 25% or so. Now that is of efficiency. That will save time, it'll save money, it'll save emissions. But the same does apply if we actually now connect to other ports and have AIS enabled more information over a longer part of the value chain. Or like we announced last week with Singapore, that we have a green and digital corridor aspirational goal where not only we provide green fuels, but also allow trusted trade lanes to materialize. If customs in one port have cleared the cargo, there's no need for the other customs party to check again upon arrival, right? We're going to trust each other, and we're going to trust the forwarders and the producers. The same to electronic bill of lading. So in each and every one of those projects and products and services will cut waste, will make it more efficient, and will allow trade more fluently to materialize, and have a potentially most efficient use of people and resources. Same time, as I said, the digital twin bit of the port, where we have smart boulders, we have our own patrol boat piloting truly as a pilot in our waters, sailing remotely and with no crew on board, except for checking, of course, that everything goes well at the pilot stages. So we're working on a number of these issues, all from this perspective of being the most efficient hub for parties to conduct their trade.
Decarbonization, as you've already mentioned, that's obviously a transcendent trend that's shaping the future of all of maritime. Can you discuss specifically the goals for the Port of Rotterdam in terms of emission reduction, and how and where the port is investing to achieve these goals?
Yeah, great question. So 50% of the port's throughput volume is carbon related. And as I said, we've embraced the disruption associated to climate change as an opportunity, and we immediately declared that we would be carbon neutral in 2050, and we would meet the carbon reduction targets as set by local government, being the Dutch government or pan-European government and the European Commission. So we're well underway to achieve 55% reduction of carbon emissions by 2030 and be carbon neutral, as I said, in 2050. Now we have four pillars of approaches, and the four pillars are efficiency, and I'll say a couple of words on that in a minute, are new energy systems, circularity, and decarbonization of the modalities. Now let me all four address, because that is what this company now is about and what this facility, port facility, is all about. The efficiency bit is reducing, for instance, residual heat from the process industry to supply energy to residential areas or plants and factories afar from the port. So we're building a pipeline infrastructure to use that residual heat. Same would apply to shared steam infrastructure. One plant may need steam at a particular temperature, another plant may have a surplus, so we build facilities in between pipeline infrastructure. The third would be that we are building a carbon capture storage facility to enable the facilities that have carbon emission profile they can't avoid, but they can collect the carbon, deliver it to the fence, and we will take it through the port to an offshore depleted gas field and store it there for eternity. The second pillar is about the energy system, that's electrification and hydrogen. And so we just announced about a month ago that in the port, the Shell will build the largest electrolyzer in the world, 200 megawatts electrolyzer, and we have 4 more confirmed projects and internationally renowned companies that have confirmed their appetite, and we would expect by 2030 to have 1.2 gigawatts of electrolyzer capacity installed. We're building a hydrogen pipeline infrastructure through the port, and we wish to extend the hydrogen infrastructure to even to the southern parts of the Netherlands, all the way into Germany, to supply industrial clusters into Germany with green hydrogen. And on the way back, we will take CO2 that can be stored in that same depleted field. This third pillar is the circularity. So we got some waste to chemicals facility. We have a recycling facility of lithium ion batteries. We are building sustainable aviation fuel facilities. So we're working through those processes and activities as well. And either we invest, we facilitate, we allocate land, we build quay walls, or we actually partner in these processes. Same on the modalities. We are, for instance, a co-investor in a facility that supplies green-powered battery packs to inland vessels, and they can take on board a fully charged battery, sail point to point in a corridor, battery emptied, not having to stop and lay by to get charged, but just offload and take on a fully charged battery once again and continue the journey. And we are piloting with the familiar hydrogen and or electrification fuel cell types of activities. So we got many activities in each and every one of those pillars, and altogether there's probably well over 50 or so projects that we operate, we run, we create partnerships, and we co-invest in. And if you add up all the people working the various projects, it's likely probably to be anywhere from 300 to 400 or so people working these various initiatives. And the good thing is we started with that portfolio several years ago, and when we presented the half-year results, several financial investment decisions were confirmed and have been taken. So actually, if you sail through the port, you can see the spades in the ground, you can see the buildings being erected. It's real, it's live, it's coming together. And as I said, it will allow us to deliver 55% reduction in 2030 and become carbon neutral by 2050, which is, for the scale of this industrial port facility, unprecedented.
As you know, digitalization and cybersecurity walk hand in hand, as efficiency gained via digital solutions can come crashing down in an instant via a hack. Now, I know that this is a very sensitive risk management area, but can you can you give some insight and perspective to the cyber threat as it pertains to safe and efficient port operations?
Yeah, it's one of the areas of concern as a board of this company, of course. We are, I suppose, in the lucky circumstance that our government has acknowledged that we provide infrastructure solutions that are of critical nature to the country and to Northwest Europe. The ramification or implication thereof is that we have direct access to our National Cybersecurity Center. So we have short lines of communication where we get all the appropriate information and shared. And we do our utmost 24/7 to ensure that the operations are not penetrated and not in a hazardous situation. You can never guarantee that tomorrow you will not be compromised, but as I said, we do our utmost. We have it externally validated. We have it 24/7 penetrated. We have it 24/7 looked after, internally, externally. We have redundancy in our systems, and we have set up networks but because we're such a diversified port, we're such a versatile port that may materialize, which would be most unwelcome and very, very potentially costly for that particular terminal or enterprise itself. I don't think I'm mistaken if I state that it will never hit the entire port, because we have it now so compartmentalized with the redundancy in the systems, with the safeguards, with the 24/7 penetration, with the direct access to the security centers, so that if it does happen, something may go astray, but that will not impact the full port. And that's, of course, what our first and foremost concern is.
Okay, well, I think the last year, if nothing else, has proven the benefit and the financial advantage of safe and efficient transportation. So again, I'm sure that is a 24/7, 365 activity. I truly appreciate your time. I just had one more question. As your term as the head of Europe's largest port comes to an end in July of 2023, reflecting back, can you offer some insights on what has been your greatest disappointment and the achievement of which you are most proud?
Yeah, the achievement bit I potentially should leave to others, right? I think if there's one disappointment, it has nothing to do with the extent to which I hugely appreciate the port business and all the businesses that have a presence in the port and conduct their activities with the utmost professionalism and customer awareness and services levels. I think one of the disappointments is that some of the activities or developments tend to take a tremendous amount of time. truly a tremendous amount of time, because the licensing or the permitting or the investment decision or the construction thereof. So there's there it is feasible to have identified the opportunity, and you would like it to be present and available as of the next day. And we all know that takes much longer. And the complexity is a blessing, because it takes so many quality players to provide a high quality product, but it also means you have to have everyone aligned and appreciative and confirming the journey and the direction you're taking. So it's a reality check, not a disappointment. It's a reality check that some of the things just take a tremendous amount of time. And and my worry is that on some of the issues, we may not have all that time. And then maybe if we wish to address the issue you just introduced on the number of container vessels lined up offshore, then you wish to preferably implement measures to mitigate against that sooner than later, and not having to take a lot of time. If there was anything I would say or could say myself about what I thoroughly enjoy, is it, as I just alluded to, this tremendously rich portfolio of activities, be it in the digital arena, be it in the energy transition arena, as well as our traditional investment profile of activities that we conduct. And I think it's a fabulous company with fabulous people running a fabulous business. So I can only look back, and I still have fortunately a very interesting high energy year ahead of me. But I'm pretty sure in a year's time I'll look back with a big smile on my face of what it is that we can achieve here.